So if you're watching this video, I'm going to assume that you're in a place where you've been doing, like me, you've been doing the meditation practices, you've been trying the self-improvement, you may have even been to many courses, retreats, in-person retreats, 10-day Vipassana retreats, online retreats, doing all the courses, self-work, meditating like crazy, reading the suttas in Buddhism, practicing the Bahaya Sutta, in the scene, only the scene, and yet your mind is just really distraught with the suffering, with the shadow that's coming up in your experience. This was the case for me, like I think I remember just being with a facilitator when I was really first getting involved with meditation, and I took it on really, really seriously. Like, it caught fire in me. Like, I'm going to get to the root of suffering with Vipassana meditation. And I was meditating 2 hours every day, like going hard, like body scanning, deconstructing my experience. And it would be somewhat okay in meditation, and I would be seeing facilitators as well. And then as I would be going about my day, as I've mentioned in previous videos, this would like resurface stuff, right? Because when we're meditating, we're opening up consciousness. And that is giving free rein for all of the repressed stuff, psychological stuff that we haven't addressed and experienced to come up. And sometimes I would be able to be with that sensation, and sometimes I would be going about my daily life and I would just be like, man, like, what the hell is this? Like, have I broken my brain? Has meditation actually broken my brain? Like, and that feeling tone to that had this, like, really deep hopelessness to it. It had this confusion. Why me? It had this I don't know what to do-ness to it. So, okay, if you're in that boat, I wanna first share with you that it definitely gets better, and there's a whole mechanism that's going on here, and I want to share the things that I've learned to really move beyond this really difficult fixating point in experience. When we have trauma and we're trying to practice these non-dual teachings, especially teachings around there being things like no meaning, psychology work, shadow work, all of that sort of work is reifying a sense of self, and we're trying to surrender to experience. We're trying to do all these really esoteric practices from good pointing, from good, well-intentioned teachers. We may have this whole doubt mechanism interweaving into our experience. This is my experience, that says, I shouldn't engage in healing work, in any form of practice that doesn't address the fundamental truth of reality. Because if I do that, if I'm not oriented to my deepest nature, then all of this suffering is going to keep getting worse and worse and compounding until I get to the root. So I'm going to damn well transcend all of this painful human experience and get to the root. So for me, that looked like meditating even harder. Like, okay, if I can just realize equanimity while I have all of this tension in my neck and heart and gut. So you see, my intention was one of awakening. My intention was getting to the root of suffering. But in doing so, and trying so hard, earnestly, to stick to these really juicy pointers, like being with sensation so deeply and so thoroughly that there's no suffering, because even if I make a judgment of this is pain, I'm already adding too much. That's not equanimity, I might tell myself. Or if I try to focus on anything other than resting as awareness, again, I'm re-invoking this sort of seeking mindset that didn't get me very far previously to meditating, so I'm going to double down on meditation. So what I did in this process is we reject the very essential foundational principles, and we get lost and confused in all of the different pointers. We might be looking to heaps of different teachers, reading all the books, and fundamentally we're not trusting ourselves. So that's why I want to ask the question in this video again, and I keep coming back to this because it's so important. It was so important for Sam earlier to see, and 2 years ago, 1 year ago, to keep looking at these questions and keep revisiting them, not just once, but asking the question, what is it that I really want from this whole awakening process? Why am I meditating like this? Why am I trying to go deep into non-duality? Truly, from my heart of hearts, not what a teacher told me I'm doing what I should meditate for, but what the fuck am I trying to do with this? And I'm passionate about that question because if we're not clear, if we're not honest with ourselves, maybe you just want to feel better. And maybe you've been doing deep non-dual seeking practices for so many years, holding out for this relief, this big explosion to happen, where all of this pain somehow evaporates, or some insight dawns on you where pain is no problem at all, right? Now, that's not to say that might not happen, right? I don't want to reject insight in the way that I teach, the way that I guide people. I'm a big proponent of deepening in insight, but also feeling better and integrating all of this shit and doing what works, right? To move beyond it, so we're feeling more peace, which is the goal of meditation, is it not? No, the goal of meditation is to be totally absorbed and to lose my sense of self so that I don't exist and I don't care about any sort of pain. Yeah, maybe it is. That might unfold. But is that really what you want right now in your experience? Or do you just want to feel a little bit better? So that's why, maybe not, right? So this is my suggestion. This is what the things that came up for me. But I would look in those places to be really radically honest where we're holding out for some mystical thing that awakening will get for us. Because maybe you just want to feel better. Maybe you just want to awaken so you can finally live in your daily life unapologetically, authentically yourself. And maybe you just want to get a job. Maybe you just want to work a better job, get the promotion, so you can get more status, or so you can feel fulfilled in your life by working a more purposeful job, right? So when we get clear on what it is we're seeking, that sets the stage. We can see clearly what our motives are. And then we can choose if we want to be pursuing that path, or if we want something that's deeper once we see clearly, once we do the shadow work. Because if I see that I just want to wake up so I can get a better job, then with the clear seeing of that, the compassionate clear seeing of this, through doing the shadow work, through understanding why we act the way we act, rather than just sort of trying to non-dualify our way out of everything by resting as awareness and not looking at the turmoil that's going on in our bodies. Until we do that, we'll keep running on those unconscious scripts, those schemas. Our inner child is running the show, trying to wake up to get validation from dad, rather than pursue truth, even though we think we're pursuing truth by resting as awareness because a teacher said that truth is important. But in our heart of hearts, we're still believing the unconscious narrative by not seeing it clearly and choosing something different, stepping into something different. So that was very important for me to see. And by the way, there's nothing wrong with any choice like that. If that's the life that you want to live, if you want to have more authentic relationships and step into authenticity, that's what's in your heart of hearts, that's your truth. There's nothing wrong with that. And you might feel like, oh no, but I need awakening, like I really need awakening, right? And even hearing that, like having these relative needs and desires, it's like, oh no, awakening's got to be the thing. Like Sam is just, why would he say that? I get that too. Like it took me a while to finally come around to allowing myself to be a human in this world. Now, that also said, I think it's important, right? So maybe sometimes we just don't even know, and there's so much going on in our bodies that we don't even know where to look and experience. We're hearing all these different teachings, we're suffering heaps. Our brain, we're thinking like, is my brain broken? So my invitation would just be to slow down. Give yourself the permission to look in those places. And it's not just a one and done. You might need to look in those places multiple times over the span of multiple weeks or years before you really see what it is that you're actually looking for. And it might keep updating. Maybe it is that I want authentic relationships, or maybe it is I want truth. Once we see clearly, once we can choose and step into something different, which is, I know, again, choice, not very non-dual speaking, which choice, I believe, is completely fine once we are aware and once we are deepening in insight to hold the paradox of choice and no choice at the same time. Then we can start to align our intention with our deepest heart's yearning from this place. So if you want to feel better, your intention matters. The clear seeing of that matters. What would it feel like to step into that, to step into feeling better, to allow yourself to trust your heart rather than what a teacher or a book is telling you? The truth is, it is possible for you to do that. If you just want to feel better, there are ways and approaches to do that, what I teach people. If you don't resonate with me, someone else. If your intention is aligned towards something, and in your heart of hearts, you damn well want that thing, and you're not just saying it artificially because you should be saying it, you damn well want in the depth of your heart, ask and you shall receive. It's like the biblical phrase. If you really want truth, ask and you shall receive. Your reticular activating system, your RAS, when your attention is aligned to something wholeheartedly, like this is sort of an alignment with manifestation, right? If you want truth and you want it with all of your heart, your mind can only filter in so much data, something like 40, 50 bits of data when it's receiving 11 million bits of data. So if we're aligned with our RAS, our reticular activating system, our mind is filtering for those 40 to 50 bits of data to align with our intention. So we will feel better if we set that intention to feel better when we're on this awakening path, and we will find means to make that happen. If we want truth, if we align to truth, we will find means to make that happen. If we want a combination of the two, we will find means to make that happen. Intention is everything with this. And if we believe, here's what I wanted to get to, the crux of this video. If we believe that we have broken our brains, if we have the unconscious intention that we're so broken, there's so much suffering, that is sort of fueling that's like an unconscious shadow intention that we're infusing into the world. There's a certain buy-in to that we actually kind of like, because it's familiar and it's safe. So in the next video, I'll talk about ways that we can unhook from that. Because as I said, that buy-in is very delicious, but we really need to choose and confront the paradox of non-dual seeking, of non-dual investigation. That choice really is something that we can step into, especially if we have trauma. Otherwise, we're going to keep choosing the unconscious suffering patterns. So I'll follow up on that in the next video. If you found it valuable, like the video. And if you need more help with this, book a clarity call. I want to hear your story. I like getting into the nuance of people's, where they're suffering, where they're at, and really help flowering out into something different that's aligned with your deepest truth. That's what I really like to try to do while processing the shadow, getting clear on it, and moving forward in a positive vein.